Hey guys, what's up? This is Seth. In this video, I want to talk about a few ways to really be tricky with direct mail to almost sort of force people to notice the mail piece that you send them. So if you've ever done direct mail before, you probably know that it's really a numbers game. It's all about sending out just as many mail pieces as you can, and hopefully if you're doing stuff right, a certain percentage of those recipients will not only notice what you're sending them, but they will read it and respond to it. But the problem with direct mail is it takes a ton of mail because many people are gonna totally ignore you, probably throw away your mail piece before they even open the thing, and that gets really expensive, and it's just not that effective, and it's almost kind of like disheartening to know that you're spending that much money that is literally just being thrown away. So how can you be more effective? I mean, how can you really make your mail piece stand out and make your message be heard? First of all, kind of a critical underlying component of this is reaching out to people that actually need what you're offering them. You can't really trick your way into getting somebody to respond to you and actually do business with them. At some point, if the person doesn't need what you're offering them, it's not going to happen. So really the way to win at this is to send out a mail piece that when somebody sees it, they just instinctively know, I need to take a closer look at this. This is not something I can just throw away without even looking at it. And it's all about putting yourself in the mind of your recipient and asking yourself, okay, what would this person have to open if I sent this to them? Like, they would be crazy to throw it away. And a lot of big companies out there are terrible at this. I mean, their direct mail just screams, throw me away, I'm junk mail. I mean, if you've ever seen a piece of mail like this, like a credit card offer, something like that, I mean, you just know it's garbage. Or something like this. I mean, like, what is this thing? Just like some piece of plastic that somebody sent me and I'm supposed to care about this? No, garbage. Or something like this. I mean, it's stupid, you know? But what if you got something in the mail that looked like this? Like an actual FedEx package that somebody spent 20 bucks to overnight to you. Are you gonna throw that away? Or are you gonna open that up? Just think about that. What would you do? And the downside to this, as you can imagine, is that it's going to cost you something. It's not cheap to send out, hundreds or thousands of these things, but you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to get a list that is whittled down very intentionally through something called list stacking. So we're not just going to download a list from a data service of, certain property owners who live in a certain area and send out thousands of these things. We're gonna get that list first and then run it through another filter so that that list goes from 1,000 to say 10 or 20 people. So these are very specific individuals who not only meet that first criteria, but they also meet a totally separate criteria of, say, people who recently died and maybe we're trying to reach out to their heirs, or maybe even people who are currently incarcerated and we're trying to reach their family on the outside. I mean, when it comes to list stacking, there's all kinds of secondary ways that you can filter these lists so that you're not just sending your mail to anybody and everybody, and you're not even just sending it to people who own specific types of properties or meet some other specific criteria. You're going even further so that your list gets much smaller, and only at that point is it justifiable to start spending a lot more money on these leads, because frankly, they're worth a lot more, and there's a much higher likelihood that they will end up doing business with you because you know how to meet their need. When it comes to sending out these more expensive pieces of mail that are very hard to ignore, what are your options? One option, as we just kind of discussed, is this FedEx package idea. And it doesn't have to be FedEx. It could be UPS. It could be a United States Postal Service flat rate cardboard envelope. Anything that conveys this message that, hey, somebody sent you a very important message and they spent some money to get this to you. Like, this is not something to throw away. This is something to sit down, take a minute, and really look closely at. And I think any kind of message you send, whether it's 1 or 2 pages or something much more complex or an actual physical item, whatever it might be, if it's in one of these envelopes that you just frankly have to pay more money to send, people are going to notice that and they're going to give you the time of day. So in terms of what your message should be, It kind of depends, obviously, on who your recipient is and what you're trying to communicate to them. And I think if you've already got a message that you know works, like if the copywriting is very good, if people do respond to it, then you probably don't need to mess with perfection if it's already getting results for you. It could be that your message is already perfect, it's just that your mode of delivery is not quite there yet. And that's where this kind of cardboard mailer envelope could really be handy. So if you don't have a message nailed down yet, or maybe you've tried but it's just not quite delivering at this point, another option you might consider is something known as the video card. And this is something, I've actually never even gotten one of these before. I had to order this thing as a sample from a company called Cards in Motion. There's actually another company called Red Paper Plan that does a very similar thing. But I'm not sure if you've ever gotten one of these things, but just in case you haven't, I'll show you how it works. So you get this kind of card, and this is actually like the sales copy from the company, Cards in Motion. You could, provide whatever kind of graphics or marketing material you wanted to if you went this direction. But when you get this kind of card, you open it up, and this is what happens.
And the average person encounters approximately 5,000 marketing messages each day. Your challenge is to cut through the clutter and make a meaningful impression. We've become so congested with digital noise like adware, spam.
So I'm not going to let that whole thing play. It goes for a couple minutes, but the idea behind this is you get this kind of card, and inside it is a tiny LCD screen. This particular one is 5 inches, so it's about the size of like an iPhone or an Android phone. And all it does is it just plays a video message. When you open the thing, it just starts playing automatically. I think the biggest drawback to these by far is just the cost. I believe you have to make a minimum order of 50 of these things, and you can either have them mailed directly to your recipient from the company, Cards in Motion. They're actually based in Canada. Or you can have them bulk shipped to yourself. Then you can upload your own video onto these and send them out individually as you need to. And when you make this order, if they send it out for you, you can actually upload the video and your graphics so that they have everything they need to just send it out, or you can do all that stuff yourself. And these actually come in a little box thing that you can see right here that folds up. So you can actually put this in one of those FedEx envelopes if you wanted to. This particular one actually came in a DHL envelope because it came from Canada. And it also comes with this little charging cord. And these things, I believe, last up to 90 minutes when they're fully charged. So if you had a 1-minute video, it could play up to 90 times before it would have to be recharged. And if you want to change out the video that's on there, you can literally just plug it into your computer, and it's kind of like a flash drive where you can remove the old video and put a new one on there. And I believe you can set these up so that they can even play multiple videos. I think one common use for this kind of thing is when people send out video testimonials to their clients. When I talked to the people from Cards in Motion, that was what they told me, is that that's a particularly effective use of these. But just the idea of not only standing out and looking very different from every other package in somebody's mailbox, when somebody opens it, a lot of people do better with watching a video than they do with reading whatever copy you put on there. And there's just a lot of stuff you can do with video that you can't do with anything else. And it's really only limited to your imagination. If you can think of a really useful, effective way to communicate your message by video, even if that's just like a selfie video where you hold out your phone and take a video of yourself, that could be all you need to do. Or you can just go nuts and have like Hollywood production quality if you want to do that too. But I think just the video medium in general, if you know how to communicate well over that kind of visual audio platform, could be a really effective way to do it. And again, I think the main drawback is the cost. I believe if you do order 50 of these things, they cost around $35 a piece. So I think if I was using this, I would probably order like 50 or 100 of them and send them right to me. And I would only do that if I had a very specific use and I knew that I was going to use them in the short term. But if that's you and you know who you are, then this could be worth considering. Again, Cards in Motion is the place that this particular card came from. And there's also Red Paper Plan. And I think the pricing from what I've seen is relatively similar, and the product isn't that different from one another. I think there are some subtle differences from one to the next, like the quality of the screen or maybe the speakers that are used and that kind of thing. But by and large, like, it's the same general concept. So you could check out either one of those websites. if you're interested in that. And by the way, neither one of them is paying me anything to mention them in this video. I'm just mentioning them because those are the two that I found, and Cards in Motion anyway seems to have a pretty good quality product. So now that we've covered some of the ridiculously expensive options that are out there, maybe you're not too excited about spending like 30 to 50 bucks per mail piece to send these things out. I totally get that. I frankly wouldn't be either unless like there was a very, very specific recipient that I was very certain would at least be interested in talking more about what I had to offer them. But if you just don't want to spend that much, or say if you want to be able to send out a lot more to people and still get noticed, another option that you might consider is one of these handwritten cards that almost looks like a birthday card or a handwritten thank you card. And when I say handwritten card, I'm really not kidding. Like, these things look very, very legit. I actually ordered a couple of these and sent them to myself just so I could show you what I'm talking about. So these particular ones are from a company called handwritten.com, written with a Y, not an I. So open this one, and as you can see, this is the front of it. So in my case, like, my message isn't necessarily saying like thank you or happy birthday because this is the first time I'm contacting somebody. I know they also have examples that say like bonjour and things like that. So it's kind of up to you to use whatever you think would fit the situation. But when you open these things up, that's my sample message that I wrote in there. Take a look at those 5s there in the phone number that I wrote out. They actually look different. It's not like every single 5 is a carbon copy of itself. Like, it actually sort of looks like somebody wrote that out by hand. Just in terms of looking like an actual handwritten card, seems like a pretty good option to me. And let's check out this other one here. I'll open this one up. Here's this one. You can see this was the thing that I chose to have on the front. It's just a little graphic image type thing. Then we can open it up. You can see what that says in there. You get an idea for what that handwriting looks like. It looks pretty real. I mean, I would actually think that that's a real handwritten note. And I think the downside to this is that it doesn't stand out quite as well in somebody's mailbox. I mean, it's pretty small. It's not like it's going to jump out or scream, hey, somebody spent $20 to send this to you overnight. It doesn't have that kind of effect. But, I mean, it does look very handwritten and not like your typical junk mail that comes through. So, I don't know, could be worth considering. Again, these examples were from handwritten.com. I know another one that does a very similar thing is called postable.com. I've not worked with that particular company yet, but I know of others who have, and they've been pretty happy with it. And just to give you an idea on the cost of these, when you take the price of the item, which is normally $3.25 plus postage and taxes, I paid $4.03 for one of these. And I received the mail about a week after I placed the order. So just to give you an idea for the cost and how long it takes to deliver these things. So it's definitely not as cheap as sending out like a postcard for 40 to 50 cents a piece. I mean, 3 to 4 bucks can add up a lot faster, but it's a lot cheaper than like 20 to 30 to 50 bucks a mail piece. So I think it could definitely be worth considering. And honestly, like, when I look at how easy that was for me to do this, it was actually like a lot faster than me handwriting a thank you card by hand. So in the future, when I have to write thank you cards, I think I'm actually going to use handwritten.com instead of doing it myself because it was way easier. And something else that I noticed on handwritten.com anyway, when I was going through that order process, is that you can actually have them include gift cards from a bunch of different companies. Say if you were sending somebody an actual birthday card, or if you really wanted to get somebody's attention by giving them some kind of monetary value inside the card that you send them, or even just notice something hard in the envelope before they open the thing and don't throw it away. That could be another thing worth considering. Again, that would obviously add considerably to the cost of each mail piece. But it might be worth thinking about if it fits the situation. So again, a lot of these things do not make a whole lot of sense when you're sending out thousands of mailers, unless those thousands of prospects really are highly qualified and you were able to find that many of them. I would only consider doing this if I had like 100 or fewer of them and I was very, very sure about all the recipients and the likelihood that they would actually want to work with me. But that's just me. So I'm going to have links to all this stuff beneath this video. Again, I'm not telling you about this stuff because I'm making money from it, because I'm not. I just thought these were really helpful services and kind of good ideas to think about if you want to really stand out and force people to notice your mail in their mailbox. So thanks for watching. Wish you all the best. See you next time.